What's going on, guys? So I just watched RVJ's video, and look, I'm gonna speak on it from mostly the perspective of someone who has made this a career and someone who is a director of the AWE and has the dream of empowering as many people as possible to be able to call arm wrestling a career. I'm not going to get into necessarily the steroid side of things. I kind of see it as two different topics. But a lot of what RVJ said in his video really did intrigue me in that he talked about manufactured drama and he talked about it being a shallow system. Same thing over and over and over again. You've got 10,000 people willing to buy a pay-per-view in the world, whatever. Manufactured drama, rinse and repeat, more steroids, who's the best, and jumping on each other's heads all the way to the top. There was more to it, but that in a nutshell. When I reflect on my story up to here, the reason why I truly believe this has become a career for me is because my story's real. And what I mean by my story's real is that when I started this goal, this dream, when it came to life 10 years ago, I wanted to make this a career, and I recognized that there was no legitimate form of income within this sport. And I realized that in order to make it something, I needed to document my journey, tell the story of my goals, put it out there, warts and all, for everyone to see the struggles, the successes, the progress, and throughout that process, I would gain momentum enough that people would be interested in watching and following, whether it was through support or through mockery or anything in between. They would be interested enough to tune in. That attention is the commodity itself that enables an individual in this circumstance to become something that can generate income through it, whether it be through endorsements, direct sales of their own products, ad revenue on social medias, etc., etc. Now, that has been something that has accumulated and continues to accumulate for me personally over the decade that I've been arm wrestling. I have had this conversation with a lot of athletes. I agree that manufactured drama, with what RVJ said, is a very temporary. It's a cash grab now, and it's not a long-term success. I believe that storytelling has been the big shortfall of the sport. RBJ's had enough. He's a lot more pessimistic than I am in respect to whether the sport has the potential. I think there might be cash grabs going on right now with manufactured drama and all that sort of stuff. And uh, I have been part of manufactured drama in my own journey as well. I've dabbled with it. I've tasted it. I've tried lots of things, but ultimately, what keeps me going, what keeps business and everything, and where I come back to, is the real story. The real story, like you guys know my real story. I want to be one of the all-time greats in the sport, and I'm going to try my hardest to get there. Over the years, I'm just going to keep going towards that. I'll either get there or I won't. Either way, that's my long-term story. So I think that I've had this conversation with a lot of athletes, and I've tried to bring it to the point where people realize that, like, when you begin your journey, I often reflect back and think of, imagine if Michael Jordan or any significant athlete that went on and became a superstar, imagine if they had have documented their journey. How interesting it would have been to, in retrospect, go and look back. Now, as a promoter, if I think about the way that AWE is, and I think, as I was saying, I do believe that long-term storytelling is one of the major shortfalls of this sport. There are very few athletes out there who have genuine long-term story. Devon is one that has long-term story. There are a few people like Coach Ray, the Art of Taranenko. There are people out there who have long-term story, but not enough. Historically, um, leagues have popped up. Leagues have never story told. Leagues have just done great job on production in terms of staging, lighting, cameras, all that sort of stuff, and they've presented it well, but because there is no traction behind the long-term story of these people that are competing within the realm of sports fans, it never gets anywhere. It spins its wheels, it burns some rubber for a while, but then the crowds go away. RVJ is pointing to that at the moment. The crowds might go away. They get sick of the same rinse and repeat drama, same bunch of guys jumping on gear, getting to the top, whatever. I get it. There's no long-term story. People want long-term story. They need long-term story for it to succeed. This is where I believe AWE is different. We identified that a long time ago. Maybe a year and a half ago, we started talking about the need for that. And we started refining our skills towards storytelling. And that still is and will continue to be the main focus for us. Everyone who competes in the sport, for the sport to be significantly successful, we need it to be in a place where there's not just a handful of guys, but a whole series of guys, hundreds of guys that have long-term story. Because historically athletes haven't been able to have, whether it's the confidence to do it, the willingness, the time, the energy, whatever, the know-how to create a YouTube channel that tells their story. Because let's be honest, it takes patience to create your own story that people actually genuinely understand. It requires patience. 10 years worth of content is an example of that sort of patience. I did it for 7 years before anyone really started caring. But I did it because I loved it and I had the long-term vision and the patience was already implanted in my head. Now, as an organization, we can, through AWE, force a bit of that patience onto our athletes, whether they know it, like it, or even aware of it. They may not be willing to put their story out there, but we can tell their story for them. Like I said, the team of people, the directors behind AWE, we all see this, we all believe this, we all have our vision on this, and it's where we're going. We want to tell their story, and we want to tell it very well with high production and all of the other things that the other leagues and everything is done. So where I conclude on all this is that, Rob, look, I think you came up with some great points. You're a very passionate man. And interestingly, Rob and I we're an example of non-manufactured drama. We have had real drama in the past that almost eventuated to a match. It didn't. Look, personally, I think that if Rob ever was to have a match again, and he sounds like he doesn't want to have a match with anyone, it would be good for him to have it with me, because we actually have something real. But anyway, I'm not here to try to get a match with Rob. But I wanted to acknowledge that Rob's video actually did jog my thinking, and it actually helped to remind me of the importance of genuine story. So anyway, Rob, thanks for your video. If you guys haven't seen it, go and watch it. There was a lot of valid points in there, a lot. And whilst you're at it, subscribe to AWE, because we're going to storytell. And the characters that you see already in that league, they all have great stories. And you know some of them already. And if you don't know some of them, you will soon. Because we're going to tell those damn stories. And we're going to build a genuine fan base that reaches way beyond the 10,000 that currently are out there. And this sport will go places. I'm sure of it.